yoga environment.
I would say corporate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was like
That's
the
right.
total difference.
I'm like, and she broke the mic. No,
Continue, Nicole.
Bloopers.
This isn't happening.
We also do bloopers. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Social Exchange Project, a podcast that aims to provide passionate people with a platform to share their story. This is your host, Shane-Laura Waldinger.
And this is Addie.
And today we have an exciting, amazing guest. I love her more than anything. She is a good friend. Met her, I feel like about 6 months ago. But so today we have with us a veteran of the Army who serves in the Military Peace Corps, who spent 15 years helping other veterans with things like homelessness, mental health, and substance abuse before realizing she could give back in a totally different way. Now a registered yoga teacher, Reiki master, and Thai yoga therapist, our guest is Nicole Lillis. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're so excited. So, okay, I'm just going to get right into it because when you think of like the military and then what you're doing now, which is holistic healing, I oftentimes don't connect the two. So tell us a little bit about your work with the military and what led you to what you're doing now.
Let's see. I joined the military back in 2001, and I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, and that's where the majority of my time in the military was. So, and I joined the Military Police Corps, so I was a police officer in the military because I thought I was going to be a big badass, like
You are a badass.
You are a
Like,
badass.
federal agent, like when you're young and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do all this really cool stuff. But it didn't work out that way. And I had experiences in the military. I was never deployed, and I learned a lot about myself. Like, you grow up a lot. You're forced to grow up. And I was in the military when 9/11 hit, and when all of that like happened, like the post instantly shut down. I remember that morning, like, and I'm sure a lot of people remember that morning. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I was like, something's really weird or something's off right now. And people were like kind of running around and talking. And I was living in the barracks at the time. And it was on the TV. And they're like, the World Trade Center got hit. And we're all like, what? And we just thought it was like a joke or something. Was like, we couldn't like really process it. Mm-hmm. But as MPs, you had to like immediately, we're on alert and on call. So you're pulling like 18-hour shifts. You're in emergency operations. You're operating like that. Post is immediately shut down for any other terrorist activity that might be happening or going on. And it was just a really stressful time. Like, even cell phones weren't working that great because there were so many calls coming in.
Yeah.
And I remember my family, like my friends were like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm in Texas. Like,
So what was that moment like when you heard about it? Where were you and what were you doing?
I was in the barracks, and I was standing at the end of the barracks, and my one of the guys that was in the military was in my unit, and he's like, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, look at the TV, and he had cable. Mm-hmm. So we were watching it. And we were just like, what do we do? Like, we had no idea what to do. And then all of a sudden they're like, I had to go to my assigned duty station for the day. And I was working at the Provost Marshal office, which is like the police station. And then it was just shut down for emergency operations. And everything was just like closing down. Like, you had to close post. You had to like put barricades up. It was really crazy for about a week. And then I finally got off a post and kind of breathe. And it was just really crazy. I mean, you were just like, where are we going? Because instantly we're mobilizing. They're like, okay, we need to do this, this, and this. And and I didn't. I was on the back end. So I stayed, and then after that it was like a lot of people went to Cuba for the detainees, and then Iraq. And that's when I was when they were in Iraq, and then Afghanistan came much later.
Did that impact your military career at all, and your outlook on what that was going to look like for you?
I don't know. No, not at all. I mean, I was doing what I was doing, and I mean, you signed up for it. You raise your hand, you sign up for it. You say, hey, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm willing to die for my country. I mean, you're a little idealistic, I think, when you sign up. And you think it's going to be this this glorious thing, and it's really not. I ended up getting out of the military because I had a medical separation, and this is not popular, but I don't care. I've spoken about this publicly before, but I was given some vaccines that affected my body in a negative way, and I developed an autoimmune disorder because of that. And I had to get out. And that was devastating for me because I was up for canine school, and that's what I really wanted to do. And then I came down. They're like, you can't. You either have to ride a desk for the rest of your career or get out. And I'm like, well, I want to stay in. And then I'm like, no, I can't ride a desk. And I got out and I hung out for a while, and I worked as a government contractor. And then in 2006, I ventured back up here, and I came home.
You're originally from Wisconsin,
I am.
right?
I'm
Yes,
from Eau Claire
yes. Okay.
originally. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And I came back up here, and I was like, well, I have to go to school, and I want to get my degree, finish my degree, my undergraduate, because I had 3 years of college underneath.
And what was your degree in?
Eventually, I graduated from UW Claire with my undergrad in organizational communications and sociology, and then my master's is in leadership out of Augsburg College in Minneapolis.
That's awesome.
Sorry, can you speak a little bit more in the mic?
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I love this. It's so raspy.
I know.
It's
Your voice is
gorgeous.
meant for ASMR. I'm just saying.
This is really fun.
And other things.
And other things.
Thanks. If I ever need a third
$1.99 a minute. Kind of. I'm just kidding.
I know.
She means voiceover work. Yeah.
It's voiceover.
Voiceover work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So
Then after you were done with school, you ended up working for the state of Wisconsin with veterans as well, correct?
Yeah, and actually while I was going to school, I was introduced from my sociology professor saw something in me. He's like, no, I got to introduce you to the job, the Office of Veteran Services for DWD. And so he introduced me to Tim Moore, who's my mentor, and he taught me everything I know. And he's like, he hired me as a student, as a work study, but I was learning everything I needed to know about veterans and employment and helping them. And so I thought I was going to go move to Arizona and take over my dad's insurance business. That's hilarious. When I think about it. Can you imagine me selling insurance?
your passion truly is insurance.
It is. That's it.
We're here to help you realize that you should be in insurance.
Thank you.
Your family called us and said,
They want me back.
This is a planned intervention. Just kidding.
Oh, thanks. I need that. So he taught me everything I knew, and then I graduated and I was offered a job with the state, and I worked in job service for a while, and it was great, but it wasn't enough for me. I was overseeing 3 transitional living facilities for homeless veterans, and then the state decided, we wrote for a $2.1 million grant, and we want you to implement it in 49 counties. I'm like, okay. And then I'm...
Got it.
done deal.
Will do.
Great.
Check.
Yeah.
Over.
And then we need you to hire staff in all of those regions, and we need you to find the offices, and we need you to still be our point person for everything homelessness and substance abuse and mental health regarding veterans. And you have to serve in all of these committees. Oh, and then there's the 3 transitional living facilities and the
That's like an
contracts involved.
8-person, 20-person job.
Yeah, and I looked at them and I said, I'm Wonder Woman, but damn it, I can't do all of this on my own. Something has to give, and those transitional living facilities need to be passed off. Like, if you want me to do this. And then we had to work with another agency, and that's always difficult, getting 2 state agencies to play nice in the sandbox together. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's so much red tape. And we did it. I mean, we were successful at it. It's a viable program. I think now it's statewide from what I understand. But I remember just knowing that I'm not a good person right now. I just was not in a good place anymore. I had to deal with, the things that you see, I had staff, they're like, I want to go in here, but I need you here with me while I'm going in here and into this individual's place. And you're seeing things that you're like, this person needs to be committed. Like, they need to be Chapter 51. They need to be involuntarily committed because, and when the response is, well, we don't really have enough evidence. I'm like, I have pictures. I have pictures of everything. Like, this individual is not okay. And I'm like, they're devolving. And when you see that and the agencies are like, and they just kind of like shrug their shoulders and move on with it, you're like,
what the hell?
I know.
Yeah.
It makes you feel icky because you're like, I'm here to do a job. And I ran into that too. And I'm not bad mouthing this agency by any means. They've done a lot of really good things. But it's
It
a
sounds
political
more like-
organization. It's very political.
I was going to say, it
And-
sounds more like there's a lot of political things happening behind the scenes. And then I think the other element of not maybe quite understanding what it is that veterans really truly need when it comes to mental health and emotional processing.
Right.
It sounds like that's a part of the problem.
Well, dealing with anything homelessness, there has to be stabilized housing. Housing is the number one thing.
You
because you
can't-
can't
yeah.
address mental health
If they're out
if
on
they're
the
out on the
streets.
street, because you're putting
Yeah.
them right back in the same situation in which
Yeah.
they're going to engage in those behaviors that aren't healthy for them.
Yeah.
So, I got sick of it. I was told to spend money. I spent the money, and then I was questioned, and I'm like, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't turn my back anymore on what I was seeing, and I had to play a political game, and I had to walk a really fine line, and I just said, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm out. And I was burnt out. I was so burnt out, to the point where I had a health issue and I had to quit. Like, I was like, I'm out. Like, the doctors are like, this is stress related. And
So when were you first introduced to holistic healing? Did it have anything to do with this health problem that you were having?
yeah, I mean, way back in 2006, when I came back and I started seeing an individual for Reiki and spiritual advising. And I'd always had a gift, I guess you could say, just kind of being more I'm extremely intuitive. I always have been my entire life. And when I came back, I started to get into that again. So I always was like in Reiki, and I started, when I was going through my undergrad, I went and got my Reiki level 1 and 2. So I was always involved with it. And then, I mean, it was more for myself. It wasn't for me to give to others. That wasn't really my intention at that time. There are different lineages of Reiki, and I use it in my own way. I use it in the way that works for me. And I think that that's what people need to keep in mind. There's like symbols that go with it. It's basically has everything to do with your chakras. So we have 7 chakras in the body, and we need to rebalance them. And when they get out of balance, we tend to have, if we're feeling out of balance emotionally, then physical ailments are going to start to pop up. And Reiki helps rebalance the body to its natural state, to its natural alignment. And people are like, well, how do you do that? I'm like, well, it's like laying of hands-on healing. Okay, so imagine you have a lot of anger, right? That's associated with your liver. So the liver is associated with anger issues and other problems. So if you have a lot of anger and you're not dealing with that, you're probably going to get some liver issues, gallbladder issues, stuff like that. No, what Reiki does is it rebalances the system. It's like either people hover their hands over. I use a different method, so I'm actually touching individuals, but I do more body work now, and that's Thai yoga therapy is actually rebalancing the chakras. It's just a sneaky physical sort of way to do it, where people think it's just massage, but really we're rebalancing the entire system through rebalancing the chakras, and it is a form. Like all the healing paths lead together. They're all interwoven. But a lot of people suffer from depression, and they have a hard time with that. And this modality helps rebalance the body. You learn how to breathe. We work on breathing techniques. I always give people homework to take home, like what do you need to work on, if it's certain stretching or certain breathing exercises, because it's a holistic approach. Like, you can't just treat, like, oh, my back hurts, I just want you to work on my back. I'm like, no, I work the entire body. Sure. And I only want to work with individuals that are willing to put the work in.
Sure.
Because I'm not a pill, and you can say, well, just fix me. And I'm like, I can't work with you if you want me to fix you. I can't fix you. You have to fix yourself. I can facilitate. And that's what I'm there to do. I'm there to facilitate the body.
Oftentimes some of the symptoms that they're experiencing comes from a deeper connective issue that they need to work out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's with anyone. I mean, I got shit too. And I go to people for my stuff, So yeah, you just have to be right. I mean, get right. That's what I like to say.
So you yourself have gone through what service you give to others. So how does that help you, if you don't mind speaking from a personal standpoint? How does Reiki and holistic healing, how has it helped you personally?
Oh gosh, that's just been so many years of letting go. I mean, I think, I've had some trauma in my background, and I think that, you have to work through things. Everyone has things that aren't the greatest that have happened to them, but it's really how you move forward from that. And in holistic healthcare and like Reiki or whatever it is that you want to do, if it's yoga, if it's meditation, whatever, it's a way to process it out of the body, but it's really about self-awareness. And that's what it's been for me. It's like being aware of my own bullshit.
Like really looking in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
And figuring those things out.
Looking in the mirror and being like, yep.
And that's the hardest thing to do, honestly.
It's really, it is
you
difficult.
can either
you need to be really ready to accept all of those things.
Yeah.
And you can be your own worst critic, but that, I think personally, that's separated from actually knowing what your faults are as a person and as a human being. You know, you can critique yourself and I could have done better and I could have done this, but actually facing yourself is a totally different ballgame.
On such a deeper level.
Yeah.
Because it becomes like you're really vulnerable. You really have to sit there and think like, what are some things that I really need to improve? Right. And I think that's what oftentimes, you know, myself included, that people sometimes feel like they're deterred from that because they're not quite ready yet, or they're not willing to face themselves and look at all the shit, you know?
And that's fine. I mean, we all have our own timelines and there's never any pressure for that. And some people don't ever want to know anything about themselves. They're just going to go through life doing whatever they do. And, but I wanted to let go of things. I didn't want to hold on to things anymore and put the past where it is, you know, reflect on it and be like, yep, that happened. It's part of who I am, but it doesn't define me. It doesn't define, you know, all of the things that I'm doing now. I don't.
And all the things you're capable of doing.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Your potential.
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes me more aware where I have more compassion and empathy for those. I'm just like, I see why they did that. Like I try to, I judge people. We all freaking judge people. I love to hear someone say, I don't judge anyone.
That's a bullshit lie.
It is a bullshit
liar.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. Like we get to a point like where, you know, we find where we don't judge as much, or we're not like, oh my God, they did this. It's more like, yeah, I get it. I've done that. I've been there. Who am I to judge? I don't know what they've been through. I don't know what circumstances led them to do what they've done. And it's not for me to sit here and go, you're a harlot or whatever it is, or you're a bad individual. I think that people need to...
It's easier to point fingers sometimes, right? Because then it deflects from what you need to be working on.
Yeah, and there's this, my spiritual advisor says to me, and it's very true. It's like, oh, when you recognize something in someone else that you don't like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most fucked up of them all?
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is so strange because we can go back to the concept of anger. And I feel like sometimes when somebody says something, like even to me, and I've seen it in many people, but to me, when somebody says something to me and I get offensive or I get angry, I think in some small part of what they're saying, I must believe that a little bit of that must be true, like how I'm viewing myself. Because if it wasn't, why am I so emotionally reactive to it? Because I should know myself better. Well, so that's so incredibly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's truth. There's truth in when stuff, you know, and when you get to a place where people say something to you and you're like, you just have to say untrue or true. And that's literally the two words. It's like,
it's either it's not true or you own it.
Yeah, you just have to own things.
So you teach at the yoga room.
I do.
And so so for me, I've never done yoga before. So explain to me as a beginner, like how I can not feel so intimidated when I walk into a yoga class.
I think that the yoga room does a really, really good job. And we try to greet everybody. We always call it our hard hello or our hard welcome. We're always like, hi. And we're not like, I feel like and I've been to several yoga studios around, you know, I mean, just various places that I've traveled to. We're not like super serious when you walk in. It's not like this, you know, you can go to those studios. If that's the type of yoga that you want to practice, that's great. This isn't it's a lot of asana. So that means like physical practice in this particular yoga studio. I like it because we all get along. I don't know how to explain. Like it's just we have a really good synergy.
Like a better
there.
flow.
It's
like corporate culture almost in a more yoga environment.
I would say corporate.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
so like
that's
the
right.
total different.
I'm like, and she broke the mic.
Continue, Nicole.
Bloopers.
This isn't happening.
We also do bloopers.
Why I followed up with it?
I don't understand.
I don't know either.
Wow, that's.
Yeah.
How did you get that off the table?
I don't.
She's
sheer
stronger than
strength.
she knows.
Yeah.
Sheer strength.
She's like that. What is it of Mice and Men? That like guy,
Lenny?
that character, Lenny.
I'm
who
like Lenny.
Sadly, was just he loves so hard that like
I am nothing.
Killed the rabbits.
he kills rabbits.
I do
You're
not
a rabbit.
love so hard. Meh.
Okay, family show. All right, let's get back to what we're
So not a family show.
family show. This is for Disney Plus. All right.
Disney Plus subscribers, call me.
Okay, so what is the difference between regular yoga and Thai yoga? Because I know you traveled to Thailand last year to learn about Thai yoga.
All right. So there's many different types of yoga that you get at like a yoga studio for like a physical practice. You can do meditation. There's Kundalini. There's tantric. There's all kinds. There's restorative. It doesn't matter what it is. Apparently she's spilling now all over.
I'm just a fucking hot mess.
Great. So I think what confuses people is that Thai yoga is Thai yoga massage or Thai yoga therapy. Thai yoga traditionally is done, or Thai massage is done on the floor on a traditional Thai mat. So that's the majority of what I do in my one-on-ones with individuals. It's called Thai yoga because it's referred to as lazy man yoga, because I'm moving the individual on the mat into yoga positions and postures. It just happens to be on the floor. So when I work with people, I'm like, go wet noodle, like just don't help me. Mm-hmm. And then I move the body into different positions. So it's like you're doing yoga, but I'm doing it for you. So it's really physical. It's a physical.
And what's the benefit of that versus, moving my body on my own?
So I know, that's a good question, because I looked up the Thai yoga and it looks like it's more of helping stimulate blocked areas of your body.
Right. Well, imagine when you're relaxed and I move you, you can go deeper into poses, positions, stretching, right?
Yeah.
And then we use different thumbing techniques and rhythmic movements, some massage, but it's really just compression and traction positions. And it works the whole body. So you're using a bunch of different healing modalities. Imagine if you could be stretched and then maybe stretched a little bit more. And then on top of it, we're using acupressure or releasing areas of tension by using our hands and our feet and whatever else is going on. It's really an energetic process. It teaches you how to breathe.
Let's do it.
Oh, I was like, what? I'm literally sitting here thinking about how good that would feel. Someone's stretching me out.
It's hard because I have really bad anxiety. So it's hard because I get stuck in my own mind. So for somebody to have me positioned in a certain way, I think more so of how I'm feeling and the thoughts that are literally piling in versus just relaxing.
I'd feel a little vulnerable having laying there and having someone
you're fully
doing
clothed
it for me.
Yeah. I think that's I think that's the other piece is that you are fully clothed and it's not as intimidating, I think, as maybe traditional massage or oil, I should say oil massage, because Thai is traditional massage. It's Eastern style and it's thousands of years old and it's been working really well. In fact, in Thailand, that's if you're not feeling well or something's happening, you go to a Thai person, you go and get Thai therapy done. You don't go to a medical doctor. And they'll be like, have you been to a Thai therapist? And then they're like, no, well, you need to go to Thai, and then you can come back here if that hasn't been released. So it does help with anxiety because it calms the mind and it releases stuck areas of tension in the body. And it's effective. People get up and they're like, oh my gosh, they feel out of their mind a little bit.
Is it more so letting go of things that bother you?
Well, I mean, it's different for everybody. Sometimes it's just physical. Sometimes it's emotional. It just depends sometimes people chatter away when I'm working on them and other people are quiet. Yeah. Because they just want to relax. And you do to an extent, but there are some pretty intense areas that we hit in the body that wake it up. And all I'm doing is bringing blood flow and awareness to that area of the body so it can heal. Reflexology, basically, and I don't do this a whole lot. I mean, I don't practice reflexology.
It's connected to like your organs, right?
It is. So like,
okay.
so say for instance, your thumb is a representation of your head. So if you have a headache, rubbing your thumb is really, really good.
Like pressurizing it. And
just rubbing it nice and gentle. You don't have to go crazy, you know?
I don't have to.
And then you can like the little webbing in between, or like your big toe is also representation of your head. Okay. So there's different body parts associated on the bottom of your feet, and your feet absorb so much energy. I mean, they're keeping you upright, and it represents different areas. So when I hit a point on the foot, sometimes people feel it in their shoulder. They're like, well, I'm feeling that in my shoulder. I'm like, well, I'm hitting your shoulder point. So
so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the body is completely connected, and that's the thing. So many people want to, I think in our society, especially in the United States culture, we're so far removed from our bodies and our minds, and we just want like something instantly to fix it. But we really have to connect the mind and body. And that means bringing awareness to the body. That means listening to what your body is telling you. And that's what yoga is about too. It's about just becoming aware. Like, I think that what happens, people are like, I did so much CrossFit, now I'm going to do yoga. And then they come into yoga and then they're just replacing it for something else. So they're doing so many practices, and they're like, I can do so many chaturangas, and I can do this and handstands. And I'm like, you're just replacing one thing for another, and you have to find that balance. And that's one of the things I work with my clients. I'm like, you need to find balance. And a lot of people will work out. They're like, I'm not losing any weight. And I'm like, because you need to slow down. You need to literally chill the F out. And if you don't give your body recoup time, and if you don't, well, I don't want to think about that. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
You need to be connected, though.
Right.
Emotionally,
so many people
invested.
don't want to think about their lives. They don't want to think about the things that suck. Well,
or that stresses them out.
Yeah. Well, fucking hell, this is life.
Yeah.
Deal with it. I mean, everyone wants a pill and an easy fix, and that's not.
That's just masking the problem.
I mean, if we look at the world today,
everyone wants things so
they
quick.
want it right now. They want instant gratification, and it's like, that's what's killing us. That's what's killing us, I think, as a society, because we want it now, and we have to have it now, and I want an instant fix, and I want to feel better right now. That's why I want to take the
and
pill.
not really actually working at the deep
and not really
stuff.
work on it. It's like if you go to the doctor and you have chronic pain in your shoulder and they give you ibuprofen, it's like, well, what's causing it? You have to figure out what the cause is in order to release it and move on from it.
Again, treating symptoms, but not actually addressing the real core problem.
Right. Yeah.
It's very
And that's with the mind
relief.
too. Like, great, we start working with you physically. Physically, you start feeling better, and then the emotions start coming out. And then you're like, you start thinking maybe on a deeper level, and that might happen, that might not. Sometimes that's a happy byproduct of yoga. You get more flexibility. You may feel calmer. You may start to respond rather than react to situations, like taking a step back and before
like processing it
in the moment rather than just yelling and reacting to an individual, but just really taking a deep breath and going, what is this really about? Is this me? Is this about them?
Like shifting the perspective of not reacting to the words that are being thrown at you, but realizing that it's coming from a different place or a deeper a different problem.
Yeah. Just it's basically about owning your shit, man. You have to be faced with that. And
I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I want to be ready.
I've been slowly getting ready, little bit by bit.
We're definitely come to one of your sessions though. So I mean, so my anxiety is very high strung. Like I need to do the best I can for everyone all the time and everything that I do, which is very exhausting.
So are you tired yet?
I'm very tired all the time.
Well, you're sick of being tired.
Well, the thing is, I don't know that I'm tired until I actually take like a moment with my husband. Because Garrett, my husband, is so different. He's just like, he's so laid back.
You guys could not be more opposite different in that sense. It's
but
insane.
Then that's what helps us though, is because like then he balances me out. Because he doesn't take things so incredibly
literal and serious.
It's not like as much pressure for him. It's like, okay, well, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. For me, it's so magnified where if this doesn't work out the way I want it, it's like the end of the world.
It's like black or white, and that's kind of, how
Garrett's
I am
much
too.
More
it's
gray.
like I either did great or I sucked, and there's no in the middle. You know what? I tried, and it's okay. No way. I'm like, deal with it. You were horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that yoga really does help that because you learn to be calm, you learn to breathe. So many people don't breathe anymore, and you have to breathe. Meditation is that easy. Meditation can be as simple as people think, I can't just sit there. I'm like, well, I don't like to just sit there either, but I do like ritual breathing every day. Like that's my meditation, or, whatever it is. You pick something for the day that works for you. Like sometimes my meditation is walking. Like I'm just in the forest walking with my dog, and that's my meditation. Like I'm present. Meditation is just about bringing the mind back to the present moment instead of thinking about what the hell you did last night and what you have going on later. It's really about just focusing on now.
Like mindfulness.
And then it's just being mindful. It's really that. It's simple, but it's not. It takes practice. And you can do it when you're brushing your teeth. Like you only think about brushing your teeth when you're brushing your teeth. Or when you're eating, you're bringing that fork up to your mouth and you're concentrating on just eating and how the food feels in your mouth. That's meditation. Like it's about bringing the
because
mind
when
back.
I eat, I'm thinking like, okay, what am I going to do later? Like, what am I going to do tomorrow?
And
what
is
are
that
the
really
things?
bringing nutrients into the body?
No, but that's something that I honestly need to work on. I'm a naturally curious person. I'm a people person. I'm very naturally curious about people. Yeah, I don't know if people know that about me.
She's extremely curious to the point where she likes to
I'm a
know
people person.
your core.
But
She
I
looks
love
at you and
core.
is like,
You know why? Because to me, it's kind of selfish. It sounds like, but I don't mean to be.
I don't think it's
It
selfish.
sounds selfish, but it's like because then I get to know you, and I love that, and then I get to take all of that information and better understand myself. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Nicole taught me this, and she's shown me this light. Like honestly, you have
The
though.
social exchange.
It's a social exchange.
Oh, wow.
But like when I first met you, we were actually at a retirement get together
Yep.
at a bar. We won't say where, but they have delicious drinks.
I was also there. It's the
Yes.
first time I saw you across the table and didn't say hi or anything. So
Yeah, you're a hater. But I got to get to know you, and you were just really interesting to me, and just the things that I felt like it was an aura that you were exuding that I was just like, I want to know more. And I think that's kind of how we became friends. But I want to know more because it was a different kind of energy that I normally get from people. And that's a compliment. I hope you take that as a compliment because most people, they're so about themselves and they're so about what they're doing and they want to provide you their resume. And I think for you, I felt like you were very momentary, like, yes, you explained a little bit of what you were doing, but you were just so calm and collective and momentary.
and
I was
I'm
like, okay,
not.
what do
so
I do?
she had to get
What
the
do I
F
do?
away from me and go to you.
No, but I was like, what do I do? Like, because it's weird because it's somebody who wants to listen to you. Whereas instead of them wanting to present themselves or talk.
Yeah, you don't get that very often. It's kind of like a weird combative culture sometimes because we always want to talk about ourselves, and it's unique.
What we're doing right now.
Exactly. Right now in this moment, bringing it back to me. But it's rare when you meet someone who's so willing to listen to you that sometimes you're thrown off by it. I know I am when someone's so open. I mean, when I first met you, you were so interested in me. And I'm like, why the fuck are you interested? I'm an intern.
I just like people. But
Yeah. Well, I think that's how we all learn from each other is listening to each other's stories. I mean, that's how we learn about other cultures and people. And I think that's so important right now. Like we have to understand another person's perspective. And if we
better
can
hone
sit
in
back,
on your own perspective of your life. Yeah.
Right. Like I think getting to know other individuals, regardless if you believe in what they do or you vibe with them, you're learning from them, in your moments that you're interacting, and I think that helps. I think that helps shape you as an individual. And I think it makes you a little bit wiser
And weirder.
and weird.
Wiser,
real
weirder,
weird.
and more fun.
Yeah.
Much more fun.
I'm real weird. I'm good with it. At this age, I'm like, fuck it, don't care.
All right, tequila shots after this.
That was her request. She's like, tequila, you guys should have had
That was our
shots."
segue. But honestly, though,
I mean, it's being nervous in front of that guy.
yeah,
over there.
I always
I'm
have,
not even
yeah,
looking.
It's
I'm
the
like,
guy behind the cameras who were.
She
he's the
refuses to
enemy.
look at you.
too.
He's the true enemy. It's
I'm
not
looking at you
ourselves.
now.
The enemy.
No, but honestly, I really appreciate you just coming in and chatting with us because this is unusual to an episode that we normally do. We don't usually, I feel like we're not always so insightful, but we have been this entire session.
Had been. There.
Yeah.
I did it all for you.
So we appreciate you because we know that you're going on vacation. You got a lot going on, but we definitely we promise you we will come to one of your sessions, because even if that means us staring at ourselves in a mirror and having to address certain things, that's kind of what I think everyone needs, and I will hold myself to that.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming in today and
Thank
chatting
you for
more
having
about
me.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been interesting.
Hell
so
yeah.
I really like the way my voice sounds.
Yes. Nicole has now realized she loves herself even more.
I do. Yeah, it's always a work in progress. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we're all doing the best we can at any given moment and at any given time.
and accepting that. That's hard.
It's okay if you don't. Stop putting so much damn pressure on yourselves. Like, it's okay. Like, you're gonna say things that maybe aren't the best for other people. Other people won't like you, maybe. You don't know. It's none of your business what they think about you. And, you just got to go through life, do the best you can, follow your heart, and just say fuck it to the rest that don't get you or understand you in any way.
Keep working on your authentic self.
Yeah, just keep going forward. Like, I think one of the biggest things is I pride myself on truth, and I don't lie. Like, I can't. I'm a horrible liar.
I'm a horrible liar too,
It's
but
cra-
I can
I'm like,
see that.
like, if it's on something, I'm like, no, I didn't do that. And then I giggle, and they're like, seriously? I'm like, I can't hide it. But I think just being truthful, that's like my mantra in life, is just living with integrity and living with your own truth, and taking everything else in, and just live with honor, live with integrity, and don't be a dick.
Nicole Lillis, everyone.
And on that note,
Honestly,
don't be a dick.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Honest, I would love to adapt more of that. So thank you again so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you so much. You ladies are great.
love this.
Have fun in Puerto Rico.
I will. Well,
We'll see you there tomorrow.
Earthquake. Yeah.